you're not prepared. You need a cigar.
I charged my phone this time the whole way, so I'm ahead of the
game. Yeah, I actually was trying to make sure I did the same thing. Thanks, sir.
I fucked it up last time.
It was a great discussion last time with both of you guys, man. And so we got a couple more people popping on. Hey, just to introduce our two folks out here today, friends of the show, man, Brian Buttera and Mr. Rich Pitoniak. These guys are some of the first motorcycle builders that I had coming on. You guys who are watching kind of saw a little bit of a transition where we started moving more toward builders. And the reason being that there are just so many stories out there and it's such a rich history. It's always good to know about this stuff. So first of all, man, let me get started with Brian. Brian, for people who haven't seen you before, tell us a little bit about some of the shows that you've had your bikes in, some of the magazines, how long you've been doing it, just general introduction.
Okay. I'm pretty new to the scene. It was bike building. I debuted my first bike in Daytona Bike Week. It was 2018. And that was the red 77 shovelhead I did. And it kind of is what it took it all off for me, like it exploded. Did Daytona and did really well there. We did the hand-built show in Austin, Texas. We were invited to that. Sturgis, where we won, that took us to Switzerland, and we won Best of Show at Swiss Moto there, which sent me to Abu Dhabi, and we won Best of Show there. So it really, that was kind of, it happened hard and fast, man. And I just built the bike in a one-car garage, nights and weekends, wanting to do something cool. So and then to keep it going, I got invited to Michael Lichter's show the following year in Sturgis again. And you need a new bike, something new and fresh. So I did it, and it was really tough, because with such the success of the first bike and what it did, doing a second one's a little intimidating. So I did. And so we did the Sturgis show there for Michael, which was an exhibition. And then was invited to the Golden Bolt in LA, which was the biggest single payout in motorcycle show history. And some amazing guys there, amongst some of the best, Roland Sands, Max Hazen, guys that are just mind blowing. And unexpectedly, I won that with the second bike, and it went on to do well too. So it's hasn't been a long time, but it's been a pretty eventful one. So
incredible, man.
That's a pretty badass 2 years, dude, right there.
We did all right, man. It's been all right.
You did all right. Hey, before we go on, I want to see if I can share my screen here and show the folks kind of what we're talking about. It says I'm screen sharing. Let me know if you guys see a picture of a motorcycle up there, or if you just see a web page coming up.
Looks like all of them.
All of them? All right. So let me see if I can pull this one up, just so we can kind of show people what we're talking about. You're talking about that red bike. I think they'll be able to see it here.
Yeah, and that was the first U.S. magazine I was ever in, and their photographer Missy Shoemaker shot that in Daytona. So that was the first American magazine I was in with that bike, and Cycle Source was pretty pivotal in getting known and getting out there and being seen magazine wise. And then a lot of international magazines. Got the cover of Iron Horse with that bike, Easy Riders Europe. So a lot of publication coverage too.
Man, what a bike! Incredible. And what kind of bike do you have there, Brian?
It's based around a 77 shovel.
Okay.
Completely rebuilt, fully polished, and the frame. I built the frame and front end, designed and built it myself. It's all 316 polished stainless steel. And so is the girder front end I built. They say everything's handmade from scratch, and 23 front, 18 rear wheel. Just a clean, simplistic, kind of think less is more, man. You know, I like to focus on the fabrication and the details, but simple, you know?
Yeah. And it's stainless steel, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. But the both bikes that I've done, show bikes I've done, are full polished stainless frames and front ends.
Incredible, man. Does that make it heavier or lighter? Does that make a difference?
You know, there's a big misconception that stainless is a lot heavier than steel, and it's really not the case. They're pretty similar in weight, and so there's no real weight difference.
Okay.
It's just a lot finicker to work with. You know, it moves a lot more. It's a lot more temperamental to heat. You know, it's just notorious to be a real pain in the ass.
Right on, man. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let's move on to Mr. Rich Pitoniak. And by the way, guys and gals who are watching, feel free to join each other in the chat, connect, learn, grow, all that good stuff. But also, I want you to write down the names, or at least somewhere in your computer, maybe on another tab, type in Brian Buttera and also type in Rich Pitoniak. They're also on Instagram, and I shared a post earlier that tagged those guys, so you can go and check
Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram and YouTube
and Tinder, and what else is out there? Rich. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Rich. Rich, talk to us a little bit about the places that you've exhibited your bikes. Something I love about Rich is he has all of his bikes in that garage. Brian said earlier, man, that's a badass garage you got there. And if you look in the back, you will see his show bikes, man. Amazing garage. So talk to us, Rich. Where are you from? What are you doing?
I'm up here in Massachusetts.
Right.
Massachusetts, right? And up here where we say wicked awesome all the time. It's funny too. You go somewhere, you're in Virginia, and you don't even know somebody. You meet somebody, you're in another state, and you look at a bike, and you be like, that's wicked awesome. They right away, they'll just go, are you from Massachusetts? Because I don't know, everybody up here says that or something. Yeah, I've I don't know, been a long time. I guess bikes. First Harley when I was 20 years old, so I'm 51 now, so it's 31 years on Harleys, and then started working on bikes like for a living. I was working at a local shop around here, Roland's Motorworks, and that's where I learned a lot from him. I was building, I built a bike for myself before that. And, I was always a car guy, but that's where I learned a lot working for Roland's Motorworks. And he was the big motor builder guy, had a dyno. He set a machine shop up in there for me to do all the machining and building bikes and motors and things like that. So it was running the dyno for years and worked for him for years. And then I left work for him after 5 years, and I started my own shop, Pitoniak's Custom Cycles, and did that for 10 years full time. That's all I did, just work on Harleys and custom bikes for 10 years straight full time. And then, as I got older in my 40s, I realized that it'd be good to have a job with benefits and a 401k and health insurance, and try and look forward to some retirement someday here, but I still continued my business and my shop and my garage. So I basically don't do any service work anymore, nothing, just really kind of build motors and build bikes and stuff like that. Mostly build a lot of motors.
Right on. Hey man, I just want to take a quick minute. I just saw something pop up in the chat, and I want to give a huge shout out to Outback Outlaw, man. It looks like he put $79.99 Australian into the gas fund. Buddy, I appreciate that so much, man. We don't really ever ask for any type of donations or whatever, but I guarantee you all that stuff going into the gas tank, man, and I appreciate you. Outlaw, Outback, and I had some really good exchanges.
I thought you talked about the Outback Steakhouse for a minute there.
Hey, that might give me.
I'll get to the Outback Steakhouse story in a minute.
Rich loves Outback Steakhouse. I think he's hit probably everyone in the country.
Me and Steve Peffer from Steel City Choppers. When we went to the Lone Star Rally last year, I left from Massachusetts drove down from Mass, had my two bikes, Painkiller and the dirt shovel, drove to Pennsylvania, picked up Steve Pfeffer and his choppers, Heartbreaker and the Cadillac Pan. And then we went from there, from Pennsylvania, and drove all the way to Texas for the Lone Star Rally. And we stopped at like every single whenever we wanted to eat, we went at every Outback all the way there and all the way back. We hit every single Outback. It was like the Outback US tour. That was a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun to talk to and hang out with.
Hey, so Rich, when you guys first met up at the Lone Star Rally, right?
That's right.
You and Brian?
I first met Brian at the Lone Star Rally, and actually his first bike that he built in 2018 there, the red shovel. I happened to share a video that I saw at Chopper Town 2 years ago, and it just popped up in my memories the other day. And I reshared it, and that's I tagged Brian, like, Brian, I didn't even know you yet. I saw this fucking badass shovel, and I had shared that video of it, That's when I first saw it. That was a year before I even met Brian. So
yeah, I knew who Rich was, and and just from the scene and stuff, but at the Lone Star Rally they put us up in a builder house, and him and Steve rolled into town, and we got to the house, and we all met up in person for the first time. So it was pretty cool. That's what's cool about stuff like that, where they get you builder houses, or they put you all up together. You can hang out together and meet guys that maybe you knew or you talked to online, or you knew their work, but you become friends by hanging out in the house and having a good time.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And you talked earlier, Brian, about people being experts, or there's a certain area of bike building that different builders tend to gravitate to, and that becomes their specialty, right? I think I talked to some of the other guys who were in the house, and the way I came across you guys is I was at the Lone Star Rally and I did a video. I went back and watched the video, and all the badass bikes that I had put in the video, I started looking up who built that. Let me see if I can get them on here. And so I was able to talk to Xavier. He said he had a really good time up there. We've had some really great people come on the show from there.
Yeah, I think you had Brandon too.
Brandon, of course. Yeah, Brandon was the guy that I actually interviewed on the video.
Yeah, he and that's another one. We met in person along the way when he was building the bike in that show. He reached out to me along the way, and we had talked, through Instagram and stuff a little bit, long before we ever really met or got to this level. So that show, it's invitation only. So a lot of those shows, they bring a really high caliber of builders or guys that are doing really nice stuff. So it's it's a good pool to pull from if you're going to look for guys to interview. Or
he's a really nice guy, really cool guy, talented guy, built some really nice bikes. Everybody at that whole show was really cool, because when you get put in that builder house, and there's 14 builders from around the country, and they're all in the builder house, and you don't know what to expect from people when you get there, or what everybody's going to be like, because everybody's all these really talented builders. But everybody was like really, really mellow, really cool, really humble. Everybody liked each other's shit, you know what I mean? And it was great. It was great to meet all these guys, And like Brian said, some people you don't know, you just know from the scene or seeing their bikes in magazines over the years and stuff like that. So it was just cool to meet everybody, And I was really looking forward to it again this year. But coronavirus has definitely screwed up everything this year for everybody. So I think basically, I don't know what I've been trying to just do this year, seeing as how I haven't really gone this. I haven't gone. I mean, other than Sturgis happened and Laconia just sort of happened, but not really. I guess hardly anybody went to that. But so I'm just trying to take time, catch up on my own projects myself. Refreshing up, rebuild some motors of my own, stuff like that. I got some other motor projects, but I got to get going on my new chopper from the frame that I got from you, Brian, in Texas. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. I want to cut the neck on it. I want to rake it out more, and I want to do some stuff to that. So, but here's my question to you, Brian, actually. Seeing how, like what Tom just said, everybody in this field has their own different you know, everybody's got their own different talents of what they do. And some people are, you know, fabricators, make their own frames. And some guys are wicked fabricators. Some people are painters. There's people that are leather guys. And then, you know, there's machinists and engine builders, drivetrain guys. And basically that's where I did, because all my years in this trade was more, you know, working at a bike shop for years, and my shop for years was just working on, you know, everything from axle to axle and in between the bikes, and knowing every single ignition system in the world that has to be with bikes, and clutches and brakes, suspension, and, you know, yada yada yada, and motors, and, you know, and all that stuff. So Brian, seems how you're a fabricator and you make these beautiful frames, you know, you're gonna need a new motor or something built for one of your upcoming bikes or something. Maybe me and you could do some kind of trading or something. You might need a motor build. I might need a frame. Maybe we could do something. Maybe we could do some kind of trade.
I'm always down, man. I like working with friends, and you know, yeah, I'm a fabricator. That's my strong suit, and I have tons to learn about motorcycles in general. You know, I mean, especially motor work and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, we all have our strong suits. So if you can work with somebody that, you know, you're a motor guy, you know them inside and out, and you know, so yeah, we can always help each other. I'm always down to work with you, Rich, for sure, man.
Well, maybe we'll talk again.
If you weren't so
soon,
damn far away, I mean.
You know what? Florida's not that far. If we were gonna do some kind of a trade or something, I'd be up for a ride. You know what I mean? I gotta go to Florida. You know what I mean? So, but
you're always welcome here, buddy.
I got a swing arm frame that I actually would like hardtailed and maybe rake the neck or something on that also. So I got another that's another project to do, but I don't know, one of your stainless frames, that'd be a pretty nice project to build off of too.
Yeah, I just I did one for a hot rod shop in Clearwater. It was on my Instagram, all stainless castings, stainless front to back. But I do a lot of hardtails, shovel hardtails. People bring their frames. I have a few here right now, actually, and a lot of that's the bulk of my work in the motorcycle scene, is doing frames for guys, frame modifications, hardtails, rake, stretch, all that stuff. So, you know, you fall into your strong suit, and you do what you're good at, you know, and then you try to learn the other stuff as you go. And having guys like you and other guys in the industry, you know, we talked about the house and the builder houses and stuff. You know, some of my best friends, I've made some unbelievable friends in the short time I've been in motorcycles. So, you know, and have definitely used that to my advantage, and probably vice versa, to help each other. And I don't know if a week goes by that I'm not talking to somebody, you know, a friend that questioned for this, you know, to me to them, and vice versa. You know, that's the beauty of it, man. You know, it's the camaraderie, and we all kind of have, whether what our strong suit is, we all have an interest that's common.
I love that your gold bike.
Thanks, man. Yeah, totally different than the red bike. You know, I try to go a totally different direction. People seem to dig it pretty well. That was at Michael Lichter's show there in Sturgis last year.
That's an honor to get asked to go to his show. Absolutely. Hey, what's the number 2 stand for? Second bike, number 2?
Yeah, several things, man. Second bike. It was my old football number, kind of my lucky number. It just seemed to work, you know. I wanted to do the number thing, kind of a little race feel to it. We always talk about, you know, I have a real big BMX influence from when I was a kid, and I always try to incorporate that into my builds, you know, kind of that simplistic BMX feel, race feel. You know, a lot of people say, and I know they do you too, Rich, you know, why the knobby tire on a chopper? Well, it's just style, man. I mean, it doesn't ride any different. It rides just as smooth, believe it or not. You know, it's just, that's what makes bike building so cool, is there is no right or wrong. I mean, as long as it's safe and, you know, and practical and everything's done right. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want. I mean,
yeah, it looks cool. I think Bill Dodge is probably, he's got to be one of the first guys, probably pretty much, to start doing knobbies years ago on chops. You know what I mean? I think he's probably one of the people to get,
Yeah.
start the whole knobby trend. It looks badass,
Yeah, I think, he's definitely one of the first that came back or came out with the 23-inch, and really the only option you have on that wide of a rim up till now I know of is the knobby tire. So you go to a bigger 23 for like they use on the baggers and stuff. But so you're kind of locked in. I'm sure with the popularity that's going to change with tire manufacturers and stuff. But yeah, he, and that goes to show, I think there's so much has been done over the years. I mean, going back to the days of Harlan Ness and Dave Perowitz, fellow neighbor of yours up there, and, guys I've looked up to for a long, long time and stuff they did, there's not much that hasn't been done. So in customizing bikes, so you put your own spin on things, but finding something totally original that's never been seen before it's getting pretty tough, since, the 50s, 60s, 70s chopper era really started, tear them all apart, make it your way, do it, not a whole lot hasn't been tried.
Well, like you said, the 60s and 70s, that chopper, that style is what we like. And that, so those are the in style of building of choppers and bobs of, the 60s and 70s. That's pretty much where we live as far as that style of a bike. So trying, like you said, to do something completely out of the box is, not that easy, so I'm kind of more of like a traditional purist as far as styling. I like Painkiller is, it's kind of like a David Mann painting come to life. You know what I mean? It's, it's a 1948 Harley Wishbone frame, 67, shovel motor, but it's just that classic style,
Yeah, and it's timeless, man. It's, it stands forever. So, it was funny. Dave and an Arlen bike was at the 2019 Michael Lichter show. Now you hear guys what you can and can't do in building frames, and you can't use 7/8 inch tubing and it'll never hold up. And well, Arlen Ness had a bike there with 3/4 inch tubing from the 60s. He's ridden the piss out of it for 50 years. It's been on the road and it's still just fine. So, there's a lot of interpretation. I'm very, very conscious and aware of fabrication, metallurgy, what works, what doesn't, strength, and a lot of that's just research and stuff. Will Ramsey is another guy that's like that, and I turn to for questions from time to time, and he's super knowledgeable. But it just he puts the time and effort in to really understanding from a scientific side. But but then you have those instances where you see things that we're not putting huge horsepower into these bikes for the most part. We could, but then you build the frame different, But for what we do, it's not rocket science. I mean, solid fabrication skills. I mean, I've seen guys build frames and bikes, and on paper you'd wonder how in the world are they ever going to even hold up, and they've never had a problem, and they ride the piss out of them. So it's it's wide open. Like I said, I built the first bike in a garage, just not with any expectations. We went to the hand built show, Tina and I, a year prior to starting to build it. And I met Ryan Gore, Paper Street Customs. He had a bike there that was it drew me. I dug his work, and I walked away from there saying, man, I really want to build something. It's time to do it, and had wanted to for a long time, but just everything kind of aligned where it was doable. And, and I think the path that happened and how it, it took off and exploded. The big thing that I really like is, people reach out and are almost inspired. It's inspiring to them, and, they can do something in their garage, and you really can just go from your garage to the magazines and shows and all this stuff. I mean, I would have never expected it. So it's, choppers too are a thing that if you learn the skills and you learn the basics, I mean, you can do a lot, and it can offer a lot. It's a pretty amazing thing. And I know I probably have a biased opinion because of the 2 years and how it's went, but But if you do things right and you put it into it, I believe anybody can really get a lot of success out of their fabrication skills.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it just goes to show you anything really in life, I guess. Hell, you just got to take the first step. You never know what could happen.
Yeah.
You might fall flat, or you might learn something.
I've fallen flat on a lot of things. Trust me. It's and bikes were always a passion. So, for it to you get what you put into it. I put my heart into that build. So, when I showed up in Daytona and the Cycle Source guys, I didn't really know them at the time, Mark and Chris, and they immediately came up to me and wanted to shoot the bike. And that was, I rented a U-Haul trailer to get it there. I wasn't in this at all, and got out of the trailer at their show, which was my first show ever. And when they told me they wanted to put it in the magazine, I was done. I was accomplished, man. That was like all I ever wanted, So
yeah,
that was amazing to me.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of like, it's like you said, Chris and Cycle Source, such a huge part of this, the chopper scene around the country, and they're like the hardest working people, magazine editors and in the industry. They gotta be, they're at every show all over the country. They do a real lot, and real good people too. Chris is such a cool guy, and Chris, Heather, Missy, they're I love them guys. They're great, and it's a big honor to get your bike in a magazine, I think, and I don't know.
Absolutely, man.
It's like all your work, all your hard work you did, or a vision you had in your head, you know what I mean? And then you build initially, you should build something for yourself. You build something that you like for yourself. That's how it should be. And then, it's just kind of cherry on the sundae when, other people, like it, which is really nice.
Man, I think what you guys do is a piece of motorcycle culture with every custom build. Every bike that goes into a magazine, that magazine, somebody's sitting back and that's, their only motorcycle magazine, and they've read it for 2 months straight, and they're looking for the next newsstand where they can get another one. So, it's your work. It goes into the pages and it becomes somebody else's, to soak in and maybe build on top with their own ideas, right?
Yeah, and Cycle Source is pretty much they're, like Rich said, they do so much in our small community, and put on they're the ones that put on the In Motion show where we all kind of came together in Texas, but they're everywhere, and I don't think they often get the credit for what they do and what they put in, and I think it oftentimes really keep this scene going. So, and with the magazines, I notice I've been fortunate enough to be in quite a few magazines around the world now, Australia, Japan, Germany, and it seems like they're a lot more in tune with publications still, paper and looking at where here we're kind of, everything's on our phones and digital. They're still tied in.
I like paper. I like magazines still.
That's because we're old, Rich. That's what we that's what we know. We grew up with magazines. I bought every BMX magazine, hot rod
skateboard magazine,
BMX
Thrasher,
magazine. Every
Playboy, Hustler,
super excited. So, but to see it, it's hard for me to sink in sometimes. But when people around the world see your stuff in a magazine and it affects them, it carries on. What you build in a garage, literally like hits people around the world, and that's pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Pretty
cool.
There
are magazines sitting in motorcycle garages and shops, and you go in there and there's always that table full of magazines.
I have boxes of old Easy Riders from the 70s, 80s, 90s. I got
send them.
So I love looking at them, man. Because this stuff is timeless. The bikes and hell, the chicks in Easy Riders from the 70s are still holding their own if you look at them today by today's standards, the bikes and
I don't know how the chicks are holding up now 30 years later.
Well,
but the magazine
relative to when the picture was taken, half of them are probably wheelchairs now, but But yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
man.
you know, it's a culture that, you know, you build something and people see it, no matter what it is, it never goes away, and it affects people for a long, long time. And,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you just got to sit and.
I got a question for both of you guys. So talk about bikes, like you said, the 60s and 70s style chops, bobs, and all this stuff that, you know, that we like. What's the bike that was a, you know, you said it's kind of hard to, it's hard to reinvent the wheel. Like most everything is been done. You know what I mean? Maybe everybody does it their own little take, a twist on it for your own personal style. But what's something that a bike that was done that kind of blew you away as far as, man, that's original. Nobody ever did anything like that before. So the bike for me that of you know, bikes over all these years would be Indian Larry's chain frame bike. When he came up with that idea, you know, to build the bike.
The chain of mystery.
Yeah,
Yep.
the chain of mystery bike. Yeah.
Yes.
The bike is like, you know, just rolling
Yes.
artwork, you know. And I mean, basically, you know, as far as like Brian was talking about, as far as building bikes, you know, structurally, obviously everything's got to be structurally safe. That's completely the opposite thinking of doing that. You know what I mean? Having, I mean, the least amount of welds, you know what I mean, as possible. But that bike has like the most amount of welding probably on a frame ever. Every single link had to have been, you know, been done.
Yeah.
But that bike to me was that was a very innovative and one of a kind for sure.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
certain guys over time have been, you know, and their success shows it. You know, Indian Larry, who finally got his, I think, credited due, you know, when people started seeing his stuff. You know, he changed the scene. Billy, you know, I mean, Billy Lane, his stuff was out there, man, at the time. He was doing wild stuff, doing it in real crude ways. Yeah, you know, Billy was interesting because he real crude in his fabrication, but borderline genius in manual machining with the hubless wheel and some of the stuff he's done. I've seen him in his shop, you know, when he was down here still in Florida. We became friends, and he's him and his brother. I mean, there's so, you know, and even Warren, yeah, I think
Warren builds beautiful bikes too.
Yeah, I mean, the talent is just, you know, and then obviously I think the mainstream one that opened up choppers to the world and was ahead of his time too, I think, was Jesse, you know, in the 99, 2000, when Discovery Channel did the thing on him. You know, that was so big. It was a new style of bike. It was radical at the time. It was, you know, he had the persona and all that, but you know, it changed the course of motorcycles. I think it brought the common person into something that they thought was cool. And you know, and it did, and not only that, but you know, there was a resurgence in fabrication, welding. You never saw English wheels, metal shaping and stuff back then. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with it or knew about it. Now every company makes English wheels, and I think that was a big part of it. So motorcycles can be a lot more than just the motorcycles. I think, you know, those people and Jesse in 99, 2000, you know, it opened up a whole trade and a whole bigger picture than just the bikes themselves. So, you know, those people are, I think, the most influential. And, you know, and some of it too, at the end of the day, is the right time at the right place. You know, that was
right there.
What is that? Is that the Indian Larry?
Yeah, Indian Larry. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yep. You know, I love this stuff. I remember when Indian Larry, one of the best covers, the magazine cover was awesome. Was in 1995, 96. I have that Iron Horse magazine. Was Indian Larry on the cover with his bike. Man, that bike was just. I love that bike, the Grease Monkey.
Incredible, man. I mean, he's one of those guys who helps also to form the motorcycle culture, right? And to me, a lot of people think motorcycle culture is the way somebody looks or the way they dress or what kind of job they might have. But really, I think motorcycle culture is built upon books, authors. I mean, if you go back to Iron Horse magazine, wait, what was it? Backstreet Choppers?
No.
Yeah, there's Iron Horse.
Yeah, the Horse Backstreet Choppers was after. Iron Horse started in the late 70s, And then Iron Horse went all the way up until its last year, which was 98, 99. And then there was an issue with the publishing of the company, and the editor of the magazine. The publishing company dropped Iron Horse magazine. And the last two years, I believe it is, of Iron Horse magazine, Hammer was an editor of Iron Horse magazine. And when the publishing company dropped Iron Horse magazine, Hammer basically a year later picked up the ball and recreated his own magazine called The Horse Backstreet Choppers. So that was like, came out like a year after Iron Horse was dropped. And so then it was The Horse Backstreet Choppers. So it wasn't the same magazine, although some of the artwork and stuff he got carried over, but that's a whole other story. And that's how he started that magazine. And I know the Iron Horse, because I read Iron Horse. I was reading every single magazine since I was 20 years old, you know, by every, you know, Hot Bike and Easy Rider and Street Chopper. And then I right away, one of my favorite magazines back then when I was young was Iron Horse. That was like my favorite because it was always old school, you know, like flatheads and knuckles and pans and shovel chops.
Oh,
and that's
yeah, man.
That's all that magazine was, you know. So that was that magazine was a huge influence to me when I was young. And which pretty much, you know, then, like I said, the Horse Backstreet Choppers and Cycle Source is pretty much the, you know, to me, the greatest chop magazine that's out, period, now, you know. And Chris is doing that now in 23 years, I think now. And that's a great magazine. And then Iron Horse came back in like 2004 or 5. It got redone again by a publisher out of New York. They brought it back again, and in like 2004 or 5. And then a few years later, I had met the then editor of Iron Horse, the new Iron Horse magazine. I had met him on a ride, the East Coast Gypsy Run by Walter Kickstart Cycle, and I was on that ride, and that's where I met the then editor. And that the East Coast Gypsy Run was a ride where you went basically it was a 4-day trip, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was a different campground every single night, and you know, a couple hundred miles every day. And you go to campground, and then, you know, it was like 60 bikes or so, and like the bulk of all the bikes were like all homeschool, you know, all old school and home built choppers and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. A whole parking lot of like 50 bikes or something. Everybody's kicking their bike and stuff. So, but it was hanging out at campfires night till 2, 3 in the morning. And that's how I met the editor. And then he had asked me, I got a phone call at my shop one Friday night in 2008, end of 2008, after I had met the editor. And he called me up to my shop and he said, hey, you know, after talking with you the whole weekend on the Gypsy Run, he said, I'm looking for a new tech editor for the magazine. He says, would you like to be, you know, contributing tech editor for the magazine? And I was, you know, wow, that was an honor to me, you know what I mean? So I wrote as a tech editor for Iron Horse magazine for a couple, 2.5 years. Then, awesome, and so that was pretty cool. It got dropped again. The publisher,
Iron Horse came back, but it was under the Horse Backstreet Choppers. It was the Horse Backstreet Choppers Iron Horse magazine. And that was, I don't know how many issues they had. I don't know how long they did it. It went all the way up to their last issue was the 2018 Sturgis special edition Iron Horse magazine, and that was their very last one. They put me on the cover of me on my bike. I was on the cover of the last issue of Iron Horse magazine ever. So
no
moral of the story is don't put a picture of me on the cover of your magazine because it'll be the last one ever.
That's right.
Stick to just my bikes. Don't put me on.
Hey man, it's all downhill from there. You got Buttera on the magazine? See you later. No, man. Hey, for anybody who's out there in the chat, if you're wondering or if you're just joining, the reason we're talking about these magazines, these are magazines that help kind of form a lot of I wouldn't say necessarily form the entire culture, but form some of the direction, man. You talk about Backstreet Choppers,
Hey.
Iron Horse Backstreet Choppers, great magazine, man. If you guys haven't seen it, go pick it up. Hey, who you got back there, Rich?
My buddy Mike, Trump 2020.
I know in the chat, I see some names that I know fall on both sides. Let me give a shout out to a couple of them real quick. Let's see. We've got, of course, my moderator here, Ozark HD Riders. Want to give him another shout out, man. Thanks a lot for looking at the comments and making sure that all of the nasty ones get through. That's why he's out here. We got Motorcycle Mama out here. She's got a cool YouTube channel. Toby Northern. We've got Austin from Baggers and Brews. Baggers and Brews, a very cool channel, man. These are three guys that go and they ride baggers and they go check out breweries and a lot of other stuff too. They were out at Sturgis, and I'm seeing here, man, that he threw in 1999. Buddy, I need to thank you so much for that. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. One Way Cycles out here. We have Black Top Devil. As always, go ahead, buddy. Oh, and one more thing. Hold on. Ratfink says that he got to meet Indian Larry a few times. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Damn. Lucky, dude. If you got some pictures, man, send them.
That's a good idea. That's actually a pretty cool concept of Baggers and Brews. You said they just ride around and go to different breweries and stuff. So I have an idea of something that I'm going to do, and I'm going to start filming and coming up on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ride and I'm going to go to different cigar bars all over and do different cigar lounges and stuff.
Definitely. Do it, dude.
Rich did a really good video. Him and Steve, they the In Motion show, it was like a 78, I think it was 78 miles shakedown ride we had to do to qualify, and they filmed the whole thing, man. Our group riding, and they did it all on video and put music to it and stuff. So I appreciate that, Rich. That was kick-ass, man.
That's a cool, yeah, I like to watch that video of, it's great. It's good memory, good soundtrack and music. It's cool to watch, put it on the TV in the garage, hang out, work, and you got good music, and you got, especially up here in New England in the winter, and you're stuck inside and it's snow outside all winter. So I can put it on the TV in the garage, and I get to at least pretend that I'm out riding when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground.
That was a great time, man. Something I'll always remember.
Hey, man, let me ask you a quick question, Brian. You mentioned the Hand-Built show in Austin, Texas, which is just about an hour up the road from me. I'm down here in San Antonio. Do you know if that's going on this year?
Truthfully, I don't.
I saw some flyers recently, and I was I sent something out to Xavier to see if he was.
I know there was a date, but with all this stuff going on, I don't know what it got. I don't think things are really getting canceled. I think they're either getting rescheduled or pushed back to the next year, but I'm not certain. I can't speak for what they did. I wasn't going to make that one this year, but I know everything that I had planned. I was on my schedule for travel. I was scheduled to take my bike to. Last year, I also won the AMD American Championship, so it qualified me to go to the AMD World Championships in Germany. And that all got canceled, and so they'll move that in. It's every 2 years, so we're waiting to hear if they're going to have it in 2021 or just wait till 2022, because it's like a 10-day deal. It's in conjunction with Intermont and all kinds of stuff. It's a big deal, but so yeah, I don't know if it. I mean, I don't know if they just set a different date or if they're going to just do the next year or what.
I don't know,
but that's a great show, man. They moved it to the big center there. I forget the name of it, but
the Steve Irwin Center.
No, I think it's named after a newspaper or something, if I'm not mistaken. But right there where all the bats fly out of the.
Oh, dude, that's awesome! Yes, I've seen them.
So you walk right out of there, and it's
like a cloud.
I've never seen. It's amazing. It's the coolest thing ever. But insane. But that venue and those guys, I've had a really good experience with that show. It was a great time. And it's a great city.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do, man, because it's not far from me. I'd love to cover that one. Another one that's coming up, and I believe Blacktop Devil is in the chat here. So there's somewhere where we all met up around, where is it? Somewhere up in Oklahoma. Anyway, there's a campground called K River or Kriver, Kriver. It's owned by a guy named Adam Sandoval. He's a motorcycle guy too, but they're having a big reunion because last year they he organized the Guinness Book World's Records longest Harley Davidson parade. And I think after 3 years, finally got it. And so he's doing his get together first week of October. So any of you guys who are out there in the chat, I know you know who Adam Sandoval is. He's going to be doing a thing out at K River first week of October. I've already got a tent spot set up. Now I just got to buy a tent. So if you guys are out there, man, stop in, man. If you're anywhere near Moyers, Oklahoma, it's going to be a good time. Anyway, man, hey, dude, I want to ask you guys a couple questions real quick. And here's how I'd like you to, so that you don't rat yourself out or anybody too close to you. Of course, I'm going to preface it by saying all these stories are alleged. They're things that you may have heard, not necessarily that happened to you. You may frame it as, I knew a guy who one time did, right? So we're just going to leave because these are just stories about people that we know. Could be you, I don't know, man. But fair enough. What I want to know is, and I'm going to ask you both the same question. I'm going to start off with Rich, and then we're going to go to Brian, because I know Brian probably has a million, so I'm going to catch Rich off guard. But when it comes to the motorcycle scene, right, are groupies a factor? I would imagine that, you know, you've got these motorcycle builders, there's motorcycles everywhere. There is a contingency of people who are attracted to that type of guy. These girls who may be following around, I don't know what, but any stories that you've heard out there on the road that you would share? Could be motorcycle related, could be being a bouncer at a strip club in Las Vegas, I don't know. But what have you come across?
I knew a guy once.
I knew a guy.
I knew a guy that was a hell of a, that went bowling all the time, but that's another story, by the way. I can't share that on here, but yeah,
I'm sure you've seen your fair share.
I had some. I mean, things have been pretty mellow now for the last 6 years with my new girl Bonnie, and
congratulations.
Yeah, previous to that, yeah, I had some crazy times for quite a while there.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've seen them going crazy at going crazy, but photo shoots can get a little bit live sometimes. Of course, you've got the rallies, you've got all the stuff that happens that are not out in the street for everybody's business to see, but you guys have made it through that, you know, those stories, man. And when you get to a certain point in your life and you've got all these great stories, I mean, sometimes don't you just look back and think, damn, how am I still here?
Yeah. I got a good story. I have a good story for you.
All right.
So
Rich first.
Listen.
Okay, Rich first.
I was at a rally once, and my bike trailer that I go everywhere with, I camp in my trailer too. I usually set it up at a campground or whatever also, so I sleep in my camper, you know. So I was at a rally once with I had a friend, she joined me for the evening, and then so we woke up in the morning, and we were going out in the morning in the trailer, and of course it's a, you know, it's a trailer, you know what I mean? So when I was all said and done, I opened up the door to the trailer, and there's people all around eating breakfast at picnic tables all around, and everybody started applauding. Everybody started applauding and clapping and everything, because you could hear everything. It's a thin wall trailer, of course. You know, what are you gonna do? It's like, hey, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was.
Well, hey, man, they're clapping for true love. True love was found. True love at 7 a.m., man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
great story.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Oh, man. Nice one. Brian, what do you got, man?
I've only been in the motorcycle thing a couple of years, so it's, you know, I don't have any real stories with that. I haven't seen the groupie thing, or, you know, I've been in a relationship that whole time, and where I go, she goes. So it's,
yes,
that may be a factor too, but
it's a good thing.
You know, yeah, keeps you out of trouble. You know, so in that respect, not too much, you know. I mean, I know it goes on. I'm sure it does. I've got some younger buddies that have pretty well accomplished in the in the female conquering scene, but we'll leave it at that. But going back to working in clubs and
What about
nightclubs,
you were in
and strip
Vegas?
clubs and all. Yeah, I mean, of course it comes with that. And I was younger, I was in my 20s, and so you get a lot of that. But and everybody thinks, oh, the strip clubs, the girls are everywhere. Well, it's not the coolest job in the world, and it's a real pain in the ass, actually. It's the nightclub scene and bouncing and running nightclubs, normal like nightclubs. You see a lot more of the groupie thing, and the girls coming in and attracted to the bouncers and trying to hook up with you and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, specific stories, I can't really recall right now any real specific standout one, but when any Vegas is Vegas, and
What
everybody's
happens
there
in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we could have a whole series of shows about Vegas stories, but I don't know. It goes on, and I've had that, but with the motorcycles, not so much. And but if you're looking for that, or that's what you want, my recommendation is go start working in clubs in Vegas. You'll get more than you bargain for.
Well, and I think that about says it all. Brian wraps up the show basically by saying he doesn't need a motorcycle to get chicks. Whereas the rest of us, oh man, that's great.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions, all around the whole bike building scene, that whether it's from your success or from your, what you do, or, I have a tattoo around my whole neck. It's probably my favorite saying is nothing's what it seems, and I live by that. And I think it applies to everything. So, don't get me wrong. I have a laundry list of stories that are crazy and wild and a lot of fun stuff, but it's not always what people perceive,
No, absolutely, man. And that's a good message, dude. And I guess we could probably just wrap it up on that. I mean, heck, every time we get together, if I'm talking to Rich, if I'm talking to Brian, the 1 hour goes by, it feels like 15 minutes, man.
Yeah.
And,
It's been an hour already.
can you believe it? Yeah, I know. It's already supper time.
Yeah.
But
You gotta get some more guys on here that are from that, say, the Lone Star event. There's a whole bunch of other guys that'd be cool for you to
Bill
talk
Dodge.
to.
I want to get a hold of Bill. Yeah. A bunch of them. And hopefully, I mean, once all this stuff blows over, guys, hopefully we'll see each other at one of these shows sometime. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully life goes back to normal in 2021, and we all see each other again, and hopefully all the rallies happen, next year, and everything goes hopefully back to normal. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll stand around.
I have a feeling that things will go back to normal after November, right after the election. We'll see how that goes, and then I think things will start, heading in the right direction.
We'll see how Christmas shakes out. Cool, man. All right, guys. I mean, shoot, that's all I got. You guys have any parting words?
Thanks so much for having me, man. I always enjoy talking to you, and
appreciate
catching up with you too, Rich. And like I say, hopefully we can all get back to hitting the rallies and events. And I know I look forward to it, having a good time, and doing what we do. So
yes,
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
It'll happen,
Thank
man.
Thank you very much for having me on here. Good to talk to you again, Brian and Tom. Thank you.
Well, hey, man, it's good to have you guys. So everybody out there in the chat, appreciate you being here. Our hour's up. I just want to throw a couple more shout outs. I see Abel Major in the house. Toby Northern, very active out there. Southern Rider, Ozarks Riders, again, thank you so much. M. Bonner, I haven't seen you around, but thanks for coming in. Oh, okay. And we got another $5 in the gas tank. So I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. All right, folks, that's it. Brian and Rich, thank you again for being on, buddy. I'll talk to you again soon.
See y'all.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out. Good night.